Alright, day 22 of the Oregon Coast Trail. Currently in my tent. It's raining. That was expected. What wasn't expected is when I woke up and checked the radar, it's going to rain much more and much heavier than originally predicted. And the problem is that today I'm supposed to have a ford of a river. It's already got some issues with depth and silty sinking sand. And if I leave now or if I left earlier, I would hit it right when those heavy rains are supposed to hit. And I'm not sure I want to be at a river outlet during those rains. So I'm gonna try to get a ride to Port Orford. It's gonna skip about 7 miles of trail. So that was the step one for today. I also need some food from there and hopefully some hot food. But then I looked at tomorrow, and tomorrow not only has those 25 to 35 mile per hour winds. That's without gusts, that's just winds. It's now going to rain pretty well along with those high winds. So it's a gale warning for the ocean. So I booked a hotel. I'm going to be staying in Port Orford for 2 nights and going to have to figure out the rest of the trail from there. So going to wait for hopefully a lull in the rain right now, pack up my tent, maybe shelter at the campsite for a bit, try to get a ride to Port Orford. I'm not exactly on 101, I can't use the bus, and then figure things out from there. Alright, it's already coming down pretty good, and this isn't even the worst of it. There's starting to be some flooding. I've packed up my tent. I got my tent ply right here. I'm actually going to shelter in the women's showers, maybe let the tent drip off a little bit. Hiker trash. There's sometimes I get offended by that name, and then there's times like this. Rain doesn't always translate to camera, but I'm glad I packed up when I did. The peak of this isn't supposed to come for like another hour or two. I definitely don't want to be fording a river mouth right now, or in an hour or two. Alright, everything's died down a bit. I can't get Lyft here. Uber's been spinning me in and out. It doesn't look like there's a taxi service nearby. So, I don't know. I'm gonna have to try to get a ride into town. Otherwise, it's a 9-mile walk today. Alright, I'm starting to walk. I have my sign. There might be people willing to give me a ride on the road where the lighthouse is, which is outside of the State Park Road, obviously. It's 5 miles to 101 and there's a bus there. So I'm going to hang out on the Lighthouse Road for a little bit, then walk to US 101 and see what time it is, see how things go. If there's one upside to today, this state park has just been full of huckleberries. You notice I didn't pick any from there, so I've been picking them this entire route. Okay, and just an update, what seemed a little bleak all of a sudden became trail miracles. I walked down the Lighthouse Road for a little bit. I think it was maybe the third car. There weren't a lot of cars coming. Third car actually stopped and offered to take me to 101, which was fine, because I could have probably caught Uber or a bus from 101, plus it would only be 4 miles into town if I needed to road walk. After chatting with the man David, he actually, instead of going to Bandon, turned around and gave me a ride all the way to Port Orford to my hotel. What a saint. Oh my gosh. And then another small miracle. It's still, it's maybe midday. My room is ready. So I made it. And also, let me show you the view. This is the Castaway by the Sea motel, very bare bones hotel. But then there's 2 windows. I can look at the ocean from my bed, or I can come out in this hallway where there are chairs and watch the storm, especially with those high winds tomorrow. Ahead of me is the stretch of road known as Port Orford. There's still quite a few eating establishments along the way here. I'm just going to stop at the local deli. There is a raised food place further up and a laundromat, so I need to decide if I'm going to do that today or tomorrow. But right now, I just really want hot food. Alright, Alright, so up ahead is my hotel. It's known for its scenic views. Very stormy scenic views right now. But looking at the weather, looks like it's going to be ripping at 20 miles per hour right at sunrise tomorrow. So I think I'm going to grab my laundry and get my town chores done today and then just enjoy the storm tomorrow. Still raining, although this is the type of rain I thought I was going to get this morning, at least as of last night. It was going to happen this morning, and I definitely would have gone for river mouth than this, but not what actually came down this morning. Currently trying to watch sunset from my bed. I'm in my bed. I can see out the windows. Not much of a sunset today, probably because of the storms. So I started the day from bed. Might as well end it in bed too. All cuddled up on a rainy day. It's actually a good feeling. So today was weird. I actually, it won't come across on video because I was just scrambling this morning, with all the change of plans and everything. But it took me a long time to get a ride into Port Orford, and I stood around a long time with my sign, long time before that without a sign. That's why I made a sign. And I was actually considering at some point, instead of doing a 9-mile road walk into Port Orford, to just do that 7 miles of trail and just try to do that forward. But it wasn't a good idea. Especially because by the time I would have gotten there, the tide would have been higher. It was a bad tide to begin with. There's that issue with the silty bottom. It's hard to walk through. And then with all that rain that fell this morning, the river is going to be swollen. The current's going to be faster. First rains when it hasn't rained for a while, a lot of icky stuff gets washed down, like chemicals and bacteria and trash. Not a great idea to be wading through that. It's one of those things I probably could have made it work, but why? It would be a lot of suffering and ickiness with that. So I'm actually okay with my decision. And I looked at the weather tomorrow. It's still holding for 20-mile-per-hour winds right out of the gate, 7 or 8 a.m. By midday, there's going to be wind gusts of 49 miles per hour. So probably going to be spending a lot of time inside tomorrow. Maybe having a proper rest day. So I can actually see the coastline that I'm going to be walking when I pick up the trail, but that will definitely not be tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a inside and watch the storm day.